Welcome once again to the Common Unity Podcast. Today, I got a very special guest with me. His name is Benson Leon Jones II. Great young man, great personality. I mean, you can't describe this guy enough. It's not enough adjectives out there to tell you who he really is. You have to meet him in person to get a feel for the well-rounded nature he has, the good heart that he has, and the person that he is. But today we're going to have a little bit of his time because he's a busy man to talk about something that is very near and dear to me, and I know it's important to him as well. When you decided to go into the military, one of the first things you encountered was a drill sergeant. So the question I'm going to ask you is, how did you feel about the drill sergeants when you first met them? And then how did you feel about the drill sergeant when it was time for you to graduate? Tell me about that whole thing right there.
Okay. In that situation, I really, there's no feeling for it. You know, you can't just feel. I was coming in, I was getting off the bus, and they warned us about the shark attack, and they warned us about all these different things when we were in processing and how it's going to happen. And I think every drill sergeant or group of drill sergeants has got their own, personality, because that's what makes up a group, I guess. But I was running up the hill, and they got these poles there, to stop vehicles from pulling up into the kill zone, or place where you got your big your picture. It's a big U.S. Army star, and it says U.S. Army, underneath it. Beautiful sight. You should go see a post. But my drill sergeant was standing there, and I didn't know he was my drill sergeant yet. But he was standing there. He stood about 6'4", 6'5". He was a big guy, and he had his fist out. And I'm like, I'm still running up, with my bag. I said, why this guy got his fist out? And I guess he was expecting me to run straight into him, and I should have ran straight into his fist and knocked myself out and got some med leave, because they was on top of us from the time we got up them stairs. When we figured out our platoon and who had who, it was over. From the time we got upstairs, drill sergeants was running all over the place, and they, in this person's face, in that person's face, they asking you questions. And my first experience with saying something was my drill sergeant. He came through. It looked like he was about to headbutt me. I was scared. I kind of backed up, like, oh, I thought he was going to headbutt me. But afterwards, I realized that they really do care, and that's the reason why they have to show that emotion. They have to show, that quickening of motivation to get you, on point. You have to be on point, because, military is no joke, in my opinion.
And your opinion is absolutely correct. And that transition is one of the things that I'm glad you were able to explain, because most people don't understand it. When you first meet the drill sergeant, it can be very intimidating. And that's the way that they try to get you, so that hey, we're serious here. You got to stay on point. We got to get this thing done. It's a certain way we do it. Let's go. But by the time you had that time with them that you spend in all your training, you get to see them more as human beings. And the interactions are very different about time for you to go than it is when you first got there.
Yeah.
So I know that my first duty station overseas was Korea. And I'm thinking yours might have been the same. Was your first overseas duty station Korea?
Yes, sir, it was. My first real duty station. You go through a lot of processing and training in my MOS, because it was a signal MOS. But Korea was my first duty, second ID, 2ID.
Second ID. That was first for me too, man. It's a tough division, but it makes you grow up kind of fast as far as being in the military and growing through the military. I think it was one of the best things that happened to me was going to 2ID. I know I talked to you right after you came back from Korea, and you were speaking a little Hangul. That's a tough language to pick up, man. How did you do that?
I forgot the name of the language.
Yeah.
Wow, Hangul, that's what it was. So transitioning to Korea, you get there, they feed you good. You speak to somebody, you hear them saying certain things on the bus, and I've always been a big fan of Asian culture. So it was easy for me to make the transition, but picking up the language was fun. You always learn the bad words first, being at the motor pool. And the thing that made me pick it up faster was one of our Katusas. He asked me to say a word. They were playing a joke on me. And he went and pinched underneath my arm, on the fatty part of your arm underneath. And the way I said it, and my pronunciation, and the way that my voice came off when I said it, they all laughed. They said, "Oh, it was perfect. It was perfect." So they just started teaching me more from that day. Yeah, that
That's
was fun.
good.
I had fun.
And that's another thing, the culture. What was it like? Because I know growing up mostly in Rochester, New York, and then leaving and going to other parts of the states, going overseas. What did that do for you as far as personal growth? Meeting with those other cultures and interacting with those people.
It gave me a quickening, in my mind to say, okay, I popped the bubble. I'm outside the bubble. When you grow up semi-small town, Rochester isn't really a small town, and then you have to go and travel here or travel there. Traveling is always good, but actually, once you get outside of the U.S. though, and you see currency exchange buildings, you see, you know, just different types of trees and birds. You don't see the same birds and things of that sort. So it's like, it does so much for you. It mentally, spiritually. We went on a long ruck march when I was there. It was like 22 kilometers or 24 kilometers or something like that. And just being on that mountain and looking down into the gorge, in the mist on top of the trees, it's like, things like that are just magical. Everybody on one accord, everybody trying to get something done. That's what brings the camaraderie, and that's the reason why the military is special. So, like you said in the beginning of the interview, it was dear to you and it's dear to me because it's taught me not only to just sit back and appreciate, but to be patient, to be fast, to be slow, to be, here, there, like something is something to be done. And I think that's what that did for me because I plan on going back to Korea, and I have some friends there, and I have some friends that go back all the time. But it's just great. Just people are great. You can't, it almost brings like tears, just tear jerking because you spend so much time with these people, and you realize their history and their culture. And then I remember one time we were in the Seoul Museum when we first got there. And the museum tour guide told us, that's North Korea. And it's like, I can literally walk. I mean, it was water in between, like a big whirlpool of water. But, it's like they're sitting right next to their enemy. They cried for help at some point. There was a war there, and if you join the military at any point, you wanted to help somebody, whether it be somebody from your neighborhood or whether it be somebody that you've seen on TV in another country, or just being patriotic about your own country. Like the same people follow this, all lost people follow the same path. It's a story about that. I told you about that one day.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but all lost people follow the same path. It's just saying like-minded people, kind of follow along with each other, kind of as the river flows. But it's just special. And I'm just thinking about all the things. I really don't open up and speak too much about my experiences in Korea. But even my son asked me sometimes, because he was too young, because they got to come with me the last 7.5 months. But he was too young to remember a lot of things, but he still remembered the snow and stuff like that. And then we came home and he, just watching him grow up in another country and being there for 2 years. And, he's trying to speak the language and he won't eat certain foods, and all of the, the people that serving us the food think it's funny. And then, my wife laughing, and it was just a magical time for me. It was a magical time. I really appreciate it and love the fact that I joined the military. Seriously.
I tell you, for professional growth and development, it's nothing like it, man. And when you're in a different country like that, to see their customs and get to understand their customs and how they do things and why they do things, it is magical. I really enjoyed myself there, and I'm glad I had that opportunity to go. So upon coming back, your transition, and one of the things you did was, I know you were going to school for IT.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you think about going to college? Because I know you're kind of like me. I didn't really like high school, but college is different. What did you think about that?
Okay, so I joined the military with a GED. I scored decent enough on my military ASVAB in order to get a 25 November job, which is a nodal network systems operator. We worked at J&N. So I did learn some really technical things about routers and switches and stuff like that that the average person doesn't know. You don't know too much about your home router. I do. In high school, I struggled, was going through some things. When I finally transitioned out of the military, just having that first AIT, you have to go to school, you have to study in order to pass this test, or you're going to get recycled. We're not letting you go, you sign the contract, was enough for me to be disciplined to get my associate's degree. So I'm part of a demographic that's smaller than what you think it is. I have a GED and a college degree, and I'm working on a second college degree in movie production, which that's my passion now. But even the training in Korea, just going every day, we had great warrant officers that were able to teach us and go learn and tear stuff up. And I can tell you a good cable from a bad cable, that's not even my job, just because of cross training. When I got back stateside, they really didn't know anything but stand at a post, or it's having that OCONUS experience is everything. It really is everything, because it teaches you. I'm really competing out here, and if it's not in combat, then I'm competing in martial arts, or I'm competing, economically, or I'm competing, knowledgeable wise. Like I'm competing some way, and I want America to be great, so I'm going to compete.
There you go, and it's real world situation. That's what makes it so good, because when you're in a real world situation like that, you ain't got time to play.
Right. Because it's people out there that are living a different life than we are. You see it on the news all the time. I'm not sure who's fighting or who's arguing now. I try to stay out of that, because I know I can't be there for some of the people that I left in the military that are still there. So I try to separate myself mentally from it. I just hope that they're well. I keep them in my prayers and stuff like that if they're going anywhere. But for the most part, some people are living lives where they can't, speak about whatever it is that they want to talk about. They can't do that. So, and we would think or consider it weird that these other countries, when we go there, look at all the people that's getting arrested in Dubai. The kid Neon got in trouble in Dubai, doing something foolish. Like the things that go on here in other countries and other places, if they frown upon it, you get in some serious trouble.
That's a fact. It's not even being a criminal. It's just disagreeing with the system and making that known. Right. They don't accept that in a lot of places. They want you to do exactly what they say.
Right.
Yeah. So I know that you're getting ready to well, you're transitioning. You're doing this movie producing. It sounds really exciting, man. And you're going to be able to mix your IT skills with that. All I can do is applaud you and say, hey,
thank you.
Keep being great, man, because we need more young fellas like you out there that go get it. Don't sit back and think it's going to come to them. They go out there, they make it happen. That's you, man. And I really appreciate that.
I appreciate you saying that.
So we're gonna close out, and I know you're busy, but share one last thing with the audience for me, if you would, please. Anything you
like. Just speaking about military lifestyle, y'all just cover down, man. Dress right, dress and cover down. Those drill sergeants and the people that are training you all throughout AIT and your NCOs and stuff like that are trying to guide you. They've been in your position before. Some of them may be young, you may be older, or whatever the reason, but they made that rank for a reason, because the people above you have been in there twice as long. So what they're doing is they're changing their lineup so that they can fight, because at the end of the day, that's what you're doing the military for. If it goes down, you're going to be the one that's going to be protecting us. And I will hope that you will take your training seriously, because it may keep you alive and the person next to you alive. That little drama that you have with the person at the DFAC, or they're looking at you crazy, or you were drunk on this night. When I was in Korea, I've seen assaults. I've seen all kind of things. We got to tighten up, man. We got to tighten up.
All right. Well, I appreciate your nephew. And I want to say, hey, and tell the folks out here you could have been anywhere doing anything, but instead you chose to spend this time with us, and I really appreciate that.
No problem. Anytime.
Really appreciate you being here. So, hey, keep being great, nephew.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks y'all for having me.